Welcome to Graya Load. I'm Anthony, and we have a new CPU flaw out in CPUs. Spoiler is the latest CPU flaw here that was discovered by researchers from Worcester Polytechnical Institute as well as the University of Limburg in Germany. So these were basically based on the same speculative execution stuff that we've already heard about in 2018 and some of the other security flaws that have happened. And in their research that they were able to go through, they tested ARM, AMD, and Intel, and they seem to only affect Intel processor. I believe it's all the core processors that are out there. And so AMD seems to not be affected by it, and neither does ARM. But in basics of what this kind of is what they call it is a speculative load, hazard boost, row hammer, and cache attack. That's basically the title of their paper after calling it spoiler. So this attack basically is the addressing of a CPU. They basically address it, they map it back to memory, right? And so you got all this memory, and they're kind of speculating, getting into there and speculating where the addressing is in memory to grab that data. Basic terms, really, really simple. Trying to keep it as simple as possible here. But if you want a video diving deeper, I'm sure they're out there. Maybe I can go find one, or maybe I can do one myself if there's enough interest for that. But me on the security side and looking at this, it's kind of interesting with AMD Statement and with ARM. They're taking precautions in how it seems like how they're developed the processors to be more security, or have some certain level of protections in there. Yeah, it may hurt performance or whatever, but to be able to go back through and say it's secure, because AMD kind of says that they're not susceptible to this issue because of unique processor architecture. So they're basically leaning on their processor architecture of how they developed the processor. So they might have had some things consciously in mind when that went into it, when they were starting to design it, to make sure that they're trying to prevent some of these speculative attacks. Now, they've been part of some speculative attacks before, but it seems like other things they try to make sure that they designed against it. Now, Intel's side of things, they went through and they're affected by this, right? So it's a little bit lengthier statement, and Intel probably has a little bit more focus on this. Intel's been the focus of, Meltdown. They have, I'm blanking on the one late last year, Spectre. They've had a whole bunch of these other ones, that have happened against their processors. They've had a lot of patches for both the CPU as well as they have patches for the software side. And Intel basically says, after their assessment of this, they determined that the kernel level protections such as KPTI reduce the risk of leaking data across privilege levels. And combined with the safe software practices for basically mitigating against these type of attacks, like ensuring execution times and control flows are identical regardless of secret data. These protections mitigate classic side channel methods enabled by spoiler exploit. Additionally, DRAM modules that are mitigated against row hammer style attacks remain protected regardless of the spoiler exploit. So they're kind of talking about three different things here, right? You got the KPTI, you got the software side of it, and then you got the DRAM modules. So there's three things here that Intel's working with. But I also think that there probably needs to be some sort of hardware measure as well. Just looking at this from the outside, not knowing Intel's inner workings, or not knowing deep intelligence about their architecture, right? Because Intel likes to keep that, right? Be weird if they open sourced it right now at this point in time. But it'd be nice, but it'd be weird too. I think that there's some things that Intel probably did in the past that they were trying to get better performance with, and they probably didn't realize that there could be certain executions there that maybe they didn't anticipate. And I'm really hoping that this gets ironed out, and at least for future processors, Intel really hardens against these style attacks and prevents them based on a hardware basis, because a lot of the software stuff does take a performance hit. I know that there's a lot of work going into that to improve that. However, there still has been performance hits. So I'm really hoping that works out. And, at some point, maybe if I got another system or something, I'd like to kind of test to see how performance is over time. on different sort of scenarios. I know a lot of people like in gaming and everything else, but is minimal. But you got a lot of stuff like I build a lot of software, and stuff like that. Do a lot of rendering, a lot of disk usage stuff, which may take a bigger hit. Only time will tell. Only testing would tell if that is the case. But there's a lot of open questions of what Intel actually did out there for their processors, and if they were taking the best security practices forward or if they weren't. And spoiler, is just one of the latest things with CPU flaws out there that leave me questioning exactly what Intel was doing when they were designing, or what they were trying to do when they were designing the processors, and if they were really looking at security side things, or if they were all trying to squeak out every little bit of performance. So with that, let me know what your thoughts are on the spoiler attack and how it's affecting maybe your buying decisions going forward, or if it's affecting them at all, or if you're just don't care. So let me know in the comment section below. But until next time, I'd like to thank you for watching Graya Overload. Thank you for taking the time to help support this channel and help it grow. And until next time, don't forget to like and subscribe.